Pete?
Well, I think there are several problems in the future we face, but I think the biggest one is the downturn in the economy. And as members of the board, one thing we have to do is be good stewards of the people's money. And therefore, I think we need to look next year, and maybe even the following year, work very hard at the budget. I have no idea how many people here, of the 3,000, almost 4,000 families here in Montclair, are going to be laid off. And I assume the board has provisions for them. You don't throw them out of the community. But we've got to be very careful. We got to steward the money very, very well in the future, because I think I've got a lot of financial background. I think we're faced with a lot of problems in the next 2 years. The other thing is security. Security is always a problem. Hopefully the new process will work. I don't remember in my readings whether the police officers have arrest authority when they're off duty. Do they? That's a positive. The other thing I see, I'm an early morning lap swimmer. I'm on waterway before 6 o'clock in the morning going over the Chin so I can swim 6 days a week. And the people going by me 55, 60 miles an hour bother me no end. And some of them live here in Montclair. It's not just transients coming through. And I used to see the police officers at times, not that early in the morning, but in the daytime, sitting down at the bottom of the hill catching people. I don't see much of them anymore. Is there any way we can, through either Maureen Cadigan or through the chief of police, we can get more police surveillance down here for traffic offenders? I think we should work on that. Thank you.
Thank you. Mark?
I think there's several issues. You know, getting the handle on the lake, how the water rises and falls, is a very important issue. My brother was the engineer here in Montclair for 10 or 15 years before it was turned over, and he actually came and talked to the board about the dam and everything, because he knew all about it. And I think that there's some problems there, and I think that's important to take care of, especially for the people who live on the lake. Security, I think security is an issue also. How are we going to deal with it? Will this new plan work? And how are we going to evaluate it? How will the board evaluate how we're spending our money? Traffic. I notice on a Friday afternoon, it seems like half of 95 comes through waterway to get down. I don't know if that's something that the board can do. We might be able to push Ms. Cadigan to do some things if there's something, you know. But it seems very dangerous. You know, there's just so many cars in there. Waterway just gets butted up. You can't even get out of Northgate sometimes. I go around to get to the other end of Montclair. I think that's an issue that needs to be involved. And there's also something about I'm interested in the relationship between the country club and Montclair's itself. I noticed the golf course, country club, they drive golf carts on the sidewalks. The golfers, you know, the people who are pedestrians on the sidewalks are jumping out of the way of the golf course. They drive down the sidewalks. They ruin the grass on the sidewalks when they did the bridge down here. All the way down Montclair, the whole grass is all done. You know, what is the relationship that we have with the country club, and how can we enforce this? Because it's against the law to drive a golf cart on the sidewalk, and make. I'm sure there is some type of working relationship that we have with the country club, and how they can make some of those repairs that they've damaged and things like that. And I think that might be an issue too. You know, they did a really good job, or we did a really good job right along Waterway where we fixed that. But if you come down around Northgate on the corner of what is it, the second or third hall, right there where Mrs. Cadigan lives, there's a whole bank there that there's just dirt. It's been there for years. And if that was a homeowner, we would force the homeowner to fix that. But it's the country club. How can we force them to fix that? How does that go in there? And the last issue, which is always an issue in any homeowner association, is how we get more people involved, and what can we do to empower the people to come and volunteer and get on all the committees, because it doesn't happen by just the board members. It happens from a community, and when all the people get involved, it makes the place a better place to live.
know, it's really enlightening and good to sit here and hear the concerns for our community voice. So I think that whatever we end up with our board and whoever's elected, that an agenda has already been developed for the coming year. And I heard a lot of good comments, genuine concern and commitment. I'm going to say to you, and I heard the lake mentioned twice, and I feel very selfishly about our lake, because I think the lake is what sets the Montclair community apart from the other communities. They don't have that lake. We have it. So I'm a little selfish with that and focus on that. And certainly, Pat, after this summer, there's some genuine concern. And one of the biggest things that I've found in dealing with the raising of the water, the rising of the water, the heavy rains this summer, was the thing it blared out most was a lack of understanding as to what had really occurred. And then how management could influence it, how the board could influence it, and what we as individuals could do. And I tell you, as chair of the Lake Management Committee, I have not been able to recruit someone to come and join us and participate that can control the rain. But when you're confronted with a situation where you draw the lake down 3 feet, and the rain is so severe it fills it back up 3 feet, goes 5 feet and 5 inches above, there was tremendous damage around our lake. And a lot of concern, a lot of displeasure voiced as to what should have been done, shouldn't have been done, and what have you. Some people had just rebuilt their docks and found them floating away. Now that concerns people. But I really think one of the very most important things we can do, and it's good to see another member of the community running for the board that lives on the lake. I think that the lake should be represented on the board. And we really have a task ahead of us to educate those people that live directly on the lake as to things they could do as individuals to protect themselves. And certainly we need to work with management, need to work with the board, and all dig in deeply to see what we can do to prevent the kind of damage or to help people. But I found that docks floating around the lake with pontoon boats hooked to them because they were tied so tight, they just simply pulled the dock up. I found that there was dock boxes floating around the lake where people simply could have removed them and they wouldn't have floated off. And then one of the most difficult things I'm finding is how in the world do you project well enough in advance to take corrective action and pulling the lake down when the apparatus we have in place, a 24-inch pipe, wide open, will draw the lake down only 1 inch an hour, about 1 inch an hour. So to draw it down 3 feet, you have to project 3 days in advance. And then if you draw it down and you're wrong, then you have those people around the lake saying, damn, you've hung my pontoon off. So I see that as a real hot topic and something we really need to work together totally as a community in addressing. Thank you.
Thank you.